and he's an entrepreneur. He's a friend of mine, brethren. Everything is a whole bag. And work toxicity. Tell me, what was the worst experience with work toxicity in your career?
I think, speaking of a toxic environment, basically, I can recall the time where, things got a little weird. But firstly, because there's different characters in workplaces.
Yeah. No, we're gonna go to that one. I just wanted.
But it's different.
Yeah.
But there was an incident with this gent here, and I helped them.
Work related.
No, not work related. I helped him. He came to me on a personal level. You know the thing where you sympathize with the person.
Yeah.
And he began to ask for me to help him with certain things, and those things were aligned to the kind of work that I do in the company. So I did it with an innocent heart, bro. I just thought the guy, because he came and he told me a whole sob story around his family and how he was trying to make ends meet, and the money that he gets in the company is not enough. He wants to start his own thingy. I need to help him just with the knowledge of how best online, that he can set up something online and blah blah blah. And I sympathized, and I just helped him. I gave him some of the step-by-step ways of doing things, and it turns out the guy's plot was to replicate the exact same thing that our company was doing.
Okay.
And so he wasn't smart, because he started using company resources to start up his own side hustle.
Yeah.
So he would use the company laptop, and within working hours he was busy on the laptop trying to put up his working hours. Now you must know all these company internet,
they're monitored. Cyber security,
they can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And they spotted him, and they called him out, and the first thing he says when they tell him, because my boss knew exactly, dude, whatever you're trying to look for, you don't know none of the stuff. Where is it coming from? Who's helping you? And then he snitched up on me.
But now
That guy.
that was not even snitching. He actually crucified you because you were never part of the plan of that.
Bro.
You were helping out of
He
an
would
innocent
come ask me
initiative.
direct questions. Okay, how do I do this? I'm like, you can go about it like this. And this is a person who, in my opinion, had a real cause, bro. He came and he said, listen, my family's suffering, bro. I need to try something. And he even disclosed his salary, bro. It's like, this is how much I'm earning. It's not enough.
And was it allowed to disclose your salary?
I later on discovered that we were not really allowed to disclose.
It's quite funny. It's quite funny. You know why? Why I'm saying so? Recently, I had a friend who was in. We're gonna go back to that one. I've got a friend who has been working in overseas, I think in the UK.
Yeah.
And he told me that they sit, when they get their pay slips, they sit in the canteen. We call it canteen. They can share.
Oh wow.
Like pay slips, and it's allowed officially. It's allowed, so that when people have discrepancies or they're not happy with something, I'm not sure how far true is that, but that's what he told me.
Wow.
And he said he was quite surprised because remember, and I think it's a common practice in Africa. Even in people are not allowed to. They say your pay slip is your private. I mean, is your secret. You can't show it to anyone. So I think the other one is work toxicity, because they and I've noticed one thing. Majority of the company who are enforcing such a thing, they've got what we call they're practicing strategic kind of discrimination, where there's not same people who are doing the same job are not equitably remunerated unjustifiably. Without justification.
Yeah.
So I totally relate to that.
Like it's happening in a lot of companies, and no one. It's a reality. No one is really looking into this stuff, and it's real.
But now remember, if you are the victim, you can't be seen doing that. Otherwise, you'll be a victim more. I mean, like you.
Same company, right? I told this lady here because at that time, you know, I started business and I couldn't get a job. I had to reduce myself and go down into learning catering, waitering, and tourism stuff.
Yeah, quick money.
Because there was jobs.
Yeah, I know.
Business studies, I could not get a job with that.
It's
So
quite hectic, especially with this. No, this
weird,
thing that
right?
they do, where they say experience, I think it's another form of toxicity.
It's weird, bro.
Yeah.
So I went after my diploma in business. I went and I studied for waitering and catering. And so my dream was to kind of just go into that industry. Because, you know, they always told me that tips are there, tips are good.
And most of the guys.
So I kept looking into that position, and I had a friend of mine. He was a manager in a good restaurant in town, and he was earning a 20K. And so
his basic besides the tips.
Yeah. Okay. So he was managing the whole branch, and so I shared that with one of the ladies in the company, and so the ladies was like, "What, 20K? I don't earn that." So who
was the lady? Was she at the same in the same position with the guy? Or?
No.
Right.
A colleague in the same.
Right.
So she took that, went to the boss, and he's like, Stone tells me that there's people that earn 20K in such a mediocre, well, they took it as a mediocre position. In such a position, and so I need to earn more. So she used that as a line to try and what?
To bargain for your own cause,
for that. And I tell you, I got into trouble.
With the boss?
Yeah. And he came straight at me. He's like, "What are you trying to do? Are you trying to sabotage my employees now? You're telling them that there's people earning 20K in waitering positions." I'm like, "No, man." And the lady we were talking, it was such an informal social conversation. She came to me. She was, also, just not satisfied.
I know. Majority of the guys are not.
And so, also with females, they take everything emotionally. I think she got really frustrated and
that she's struggling in somebody's.
And then that's when I got to know that you shouldn't even share your salary. I told him I didn't know I shouldn't tell or talk about such things.
Yeah, but
and he's asking me, so what were your intentions when you told me? I'm like, we were just chatting. She was complaining about her salary, and I also was like, you know what? I'm still looking for a position like this guy because I have the qualifications for it and I can get more. And I was like, you're trying to sabotage me. It was a whole thing. It's like, I'm probably gonna give you a written warning. It didn't get to that
level.
It got into trouble still.
So why am I saying so? I've observed, and I'm still observing, that character plays a very pivotal role in business relationships, be it even in social relationships. And I just want us to discuss and analyze how really does it relate, and how important is it, and what is it, the important role that it plays. I've got my own experiences with toxicity, and I think mine had to do with working for a company. I used to work for a company, and I used to do a lot of digital campaigns. These accounts were bringing a lot of money every month, and it was me and my manager, immediate manager, we just two of us who were handling those accounts. And the money that I was getting was 3K every month. And remember, I had a degree and a diploma. And this is less than 10 years ago. Yeah, so that toxicity, and when I initially walked into the organization, when I was the recruiter, they told me, you are going to be doing this and this and this and that, and every 3 months we do performance, salary review based on your performance. And my performance, there's never been a complaint, there's never been an issue with the accounts that I was handling. And but now I was getting 3K. A degree person. I don't think there's any degree that allows you to get paid that much. That is. And that was toxic on its own. So now when we talk of character in business, character actually applies to both stakeholders, to all of the stakeholders. In this particular case, we are talking of an entrepreneur and the employee. And remember, our target group is small to medium entrepreneurs. These are people who has got mostly informal ways of recruitment. Usually the recruitment is based on the owner. Yeah, you just pick up, I want you to be this and that. So,
you know, when you mention that, it brings out the whole aspect that it is super important to know your worth. You know?
It is important, but sometimes you know your worth, but you don't have the ground to claim your worth.
That's a sad reality, man. But I feel like a lot of these people, they will test you on that. So they know they can go as much as this amount. Hey, let's start on the lowest end in case we get lucky.
But now the thing is, they will test you like that. But now you don't have ground to oppose it. In any case, if you feel like this is unfair. Remember, we're talking of a vulnerable individual. We talked about experience. It's coming out of college. You don't have experience. You're still willing to learn through the ropes. So your bargaining power is equal to 0. So that on its own puts you in a very vulnerable kind of setup. Whereby, so the thing is, now we talk of character. My superior was just supposed to be trustworthy.
To keep to the terms that
which was after 3 months we review. So guess what was happening after 3 months? After 3 months, they would say they've got a back-to-back meeting. They kept on postponing for 1.5 years until I had to say, you know what, let me bounce out. And again, I had another encounter again, whereby I was hired for a position, but I was never put into that place. I was told initially you have to go through what we call a corporate brand treatment kind of training. After a certain period, they had promised a year with that kind of brand orientation training. Then you go to the position, but it never materialized. So we are talking of character from the boss's angle, whereby we are saying character is very important, plays a very important role. And this actually affected me. How did this affect me? It made me unproductive because I was so depressed. I could not afford my life. So now, coming to work, for me to be more competent, to focus, I need to know that where I'm coming from, I've paid my rent, my family is well taken care of. I was failing to do that. So automatically, it translated to me not being able to do my job as much as I was trying my best to do it, but it was difficult. And I ended up bouncing out of that job. And in this particular case that I was telling you about, whereby I was earning 3K, my superior was my immediate superior. She also tried to campaign for me and engage the boss to say, guys, this is not fair, and they were not listening. And guess what? In protest, we resigned at the same time. And when we resigned, the company never lasted 3 months. 6 months. It collapsed because the accounts that we were handling were the biggest account, were the key accounts. It was an upcoming kind of company, medium to medium to small company, but it was into branding. It was an advertising agency. So toxicity is quite a big problem, and it comes from sometimes from colleagues, it comes from employers, it comes from other stakeholders.
And the sad reality is that that's one of the only ways to remedy that. Just leave. But now
that's you are leaving not under circumstances of saying you are ready to leave. You are leaving not knowing where you are going.
I can recall, I think, an almost similar situation with, on my end. My approach was, I just told myself, at least at that moment, I didn't really have that much responsibility. I was just my parents that I was supporting.
And yourself?
Didn't have a family, a family of my own, didn't have kids and a wife, so it was just me and supporting my parents financially. So I could pull this stunt out where I told myself that because I couldn't get a raise out of that company. I tried and they told me, nah, we're not going to do it.
And what was the initial promise arrangement?
Of course, they always the same thing where they say we're gonna review it all
exactly.
the time. Yeah, they did that. Well enough. It happened a few times, right? And then it stopped for years. So, like that thing of saying, listen, my goal is to get to this kind of level of, income.
Growth,
And sadly, you're also growing. Your value is also growing in the company, but your amount, the amount being paid, is not growing. So I began to take that place as a training ground, a knowledge, a school,
a penetration point.
It became a college to me. I told myself I'm gonna learn as much as I can from this place. I'm not learning it to be useful here because surely
there's no future.
I'm learning it so I can take it with me somewhere and it can be useful. And the greatest part is that part of what I do now is from that same company. So it's the knowledge from that same place. And that's what I told myself, listen, I'm gonna learn everything that happens here. Because experience is golden. Bro, you can have whatever qualifications, you can have it, but it doesn't match up to experience. If you sit here, you have a master's degree in whatever sales or marketing, versus someone that has 7-year experience.
Practical experiences of marketing,
you're less preference. You just came out of school, you qualified, but you don't have experience. So experience is always golden. And I remember coming out of that company and I used the same experience I had gotten there to get another job. I found a company, they were not even hiring. And I analyzed what they were doing and I told them, because I was really aggressive at trying to find a job.
Yeah, remember you have bills to pay.
I told them, this is what you're missing out on. And I can bring that. And they're like, okay, let's sit for a meeting. We sat for about 3 meetings, I think. First one I was just introducing myself. The second one, they called the other guys to come hear what I had to say.
And then it became the panel.
And then the third one was an interview, a formal interview. And I got the job. They were not hiring, they're not looking for anyone. I just literally walked in and created that job opportunity. But that came out of the experience that I had. And I could tell them exactly what they're missing out on. They were an online company as well. And I could lay out, all the things that I had learned from them. So, experience is such. It's such. So in cases like maybe for someone who's also in a similar position like you, where they're like, okay, I'm not getting what I've been promised. I know it's a savage move. I know it's really not ethical.
It weighs, mentally.
I know it's not ethical to think that way.
No.
Let's be honest.
That's the only gain.
Yeah, you just learned. Because surely there is something to learn from every enterprise, every organization out there has something that someone can learn out of. Even from the lowest ranks of that organization, you can learn something. I remember I was picking and packing. I think I walked into a company just picking and packing. But I was a curious body, I was doing my job, but I was listening out for what the guys that are doing the marketing, the guys that are on the laptops, what are they doing? And I'll ask questions around that. And a couple, after some time, I was promoted into that office that I was nosing around.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of experience, and I gained the experience of that position before even getting there. Because I was asked, hey, what's what's happening here? And I knew exactly the A to Z of what they were doing.
What they were doing, yeah. So at least you managed to get something out of it, which was experience. And now, remember, look at it now. You're doing your own thing, and it came in.
Yeah.
It became the foundation of how you became an established entrepreneur. Like it's starting as you are, but you've done your own thing from that experience. Yeah. So, and then we spoke earlier on about
the toxic spaces.
The toxic space and how best to remedy it. And you spoke about team playing, and I spoke about recruitment. What else do you think can be done? Because maybe some of the guys who are watching now, they are going through a toxic working space. And for all information, I was reading an article last week about the scandal that is rocked McDonald's UK. And the CEO was called to parliament by parliamentarians, I think, for him to answer some questions. There are allegations of employees claiming that they were asked to offer sexual service to the managers for them to get shifts.
Yeah.
And there was some weird, some homophobic kind of experience. And so that kind of toxicity, it drains a lot of people. And
especially for females, man.
Exactly.
They're victim to that kind of abuse in many companies. Mainly because the sad reality is that whenever you have a male in a superior position, they
take advantage.
They now want to take advantage and get all the females to do
give me favors,
things for them.
In exchange of
I don't understand why.
Because in exchange of things that they are supposed to gain by default of them.
Default, yeah. So they just manipulate their power and just try to abuse this. I mean, it's plain blank abuse, definitely, because it's uncalled for. It's something that you shouldn't be doing, and it affects that female employees' well-being and their life. And the sad reality is that it's the male guys, and when you have it other way around, the female being in superior position, we don't get anything that happens.
It's not as common. It's not as common.
It's not as common.
But there's some other toxic women bosses.
And in terms of emotional
manipulation. And there's some women when they're positioned, they just want to prove a point that I'm in charge. As much as sometimes it comes at the expense of somebody's peace and tranquility.
I think a lot of women, for some reason, have that.
You see, there's the article. McDonald's workers make fresh harassment claims, and this was 7 days ago. And there's another one that goes. This was by the BBC, and then look at the Guardian. McDonald's sacked 29 people after sexual harassment allegations. So 29 people have been sacked out of this developing scandal, and probably these are the perpetrators.
How do you that's like a lot of people to be involved in such an unscrewed scandal. How do you do it?
And this is reality to many. Do you know that?
Do you sit in a boardroom and be like, hey, today I'm gonna get that one, guys, you know what?
It's happening to a lot of people. It's only that majority, like I told you, they don't have the bargaining power to voice their concerns. And it's quite brave for these people who have raised up this kind of complaint to have done what they've done. Because I think you would have told yourself that whatever comes my way, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, sadly, it only comes up after it has been happening for
a while. Exactly.
Time. if only there was a way to make sure that there's triggers around the stuff, where if someone really approaches a female, maybe it's not always female to male or male to female. Sometimes
it's male to male. There's bullying, which is the work toxicity on its own. Somebody bullies you at work.
I feel like it needs to be normalized to find the triggers around the stuff. Where if you notice that this kind of conduct is not acceptable, and you just call it out in that moment.
But now,
without the fear of losing your job, I feel like someone has to.
But how can you avoid the fear of losing your job when you know that automatically it kicks in? Because if anything that has to do with compromising, it kicks in automatically because you definitely need the job.
It's tough, but I know definitely there's like organizations around that kind of thingy, but I feel like the sad reality is that the moment you go that route, right, you call in some of these guys, external guys, to come in and investigate. You will sign up for a very toxic environment in that place.
It will be even worse.
Yeah.
You will be treated.
So they will begin to resent you. They'll begin to treat you badly.
And there are
you
people
leave on your own.
And there are even some people who empathize with the perpetrators. And they will join the bandwagon of field treating. So it's usually. And I think it is best for the superiors to make it their primary responsibility to ensure that the working environment is conducive and friendly to everyone. So like we said earlier on, that the recruitment process should be able to identify that. And they should have organizational policies that address that. And the organizational policies should not be just cosmetic, because majority of organizations have got beautiful policies, well articulated policies, but they're not practical. So they're just on paper, but whenever there's nobody who is enforcing those things, even from the top. So there comes again the issue of character. So character plays a very important role, because it takes the character of a superior to appreciate the depth and enforce given policy stipulations to deal with such thing.
Now, speaking of character, do you think it can be, like such characteristics can be identified within an individual in face value?
It can be. It can be. That's what we say.
Because then that will be then what a lot of the recruiters should look out for.
Exactly. That's why we say probably if you're a recruiter, let's say you're a middle, small to medium entrepreneur, you want to recruit. You go on, you can research on questions that relate to identifying or choosing the right person in terms of character. So you research for those questions and then ask those questions in interviews. Because, I think that would be the best way.
And even to the extent of creating hypothetical situations.
Exactly.
If someone had to do this, how would you react?
That's what you need to do.
It's
I think that would be the best way.
You've got a point there. Because most of these people, you can tell from the way they handle themselves, even the way they handle their own families.
Yes, exactly.
I was, I can't remember, was it an article I was reading or was it a TikTok video I was watching where someone refused to do a multi-million-dollar deal with this other guy, mainly because he wasn't handling his family right.
Exactly.
So it was like, if this guy cannot handle his family, then how will he be able to handle
colleagues and business? And now let's look at the potential risk of such an individual in business. Because when you're a toxic superior to your employee, for example, let's look at this McDonald's case. Look at how much it's going to cost McDonald's now. They've sacked 20 employees, and some of these might be key employees who might be expensive to replace in terms of time costs, in terms of the legal expenses that they are going to incur, in terms of the image, the brand image, how the brand has been tarnished.
Hey, that's the biggest
You understand?
bro. Because
And we talked about
like
trust.
if they have shares up in the public, shares go, you know, they
So the expense is quite big, and it goes a long way, especially for. So it is very important for employers and the employers to ensure that the work environment is not toxic through policies, through recruitment process, through team building processes whereby they do those ones, and also the practicality of making sure that the stipulated policy, organizational policies that protect employees and everyone else are enforced without favor or selection or discrimination.
100%.
Yeah, because in most cases, I think many people, especially here in Africa, went through toxic environment, work environment on a daily basis. And the unfortunate part is they've got nowhere to report it because of fear of victimization, by fear of losing the job in total. And that will keep you clinged to a job that you feel like it's eating you slowly but surely. So it's quite hectic. But I'm happy. So guys, if anybody can relate to a toxic working environment whereby you've had such an experience and it has affected you, in some cases you are even jobless at the moment, and it takes a lot of effort for you to gain confidence to be able to go and apply for a job again. You understand?
Because some of these experiences are traumatizing.
Big time. They haunt you forever.
Yeah. Like, you know, it goes as extreme as rape cases, you know. And try and imagine a rape victim by a superior, you know, it just traumatizes you to the extent that finding another job in the same line, in the same industry, is now scary. Like, you're just afraid you will encounter the same thing. You go in and the recruiter is a male and you're already like, I think I'm gonna get into the same scenario. And there you have someone that their life, their career has been affected.
And with dependence.
Yeah, they have dependence, and now they just can't measure up to the kind of career advancement that they wanted to get to, and all of that. It's such
the
a
ripple
sad,
effects are quite epic.
Yeah, it's such a sad,
and it haunts you forever.
Such a sad thing.
But it's
sadly, it's normalized. It's like
it has become a
culture. Just happen. They just happen like. They just happen like it's nothing, you know.
And I think we come again to the issue of character. The bosses, as superiors, in wherever we are, guys, as owners of businesses, as managers, let's try to empathize whenever we are engaging or behaving in a certain way in an organization. Let's empathize and put ourselves in that person's shoes. The fear of losing job, of being out of a job, the trauma that comes with those kind of abuse, and I think it's best. And also, as much as people, common sense is not common anymore. I think it is best for organizations. We as company owners, managers, superiors in organization, it's important that we have got the right people with the best character in terms of they're ethical, they're trustworthy, their judgment is firm, and it's got conscience, the kind of judgment that has got fairness. So I think it is important. Character plays a very big role in the productivity and sustainability of an organization. So it is something that every entrepreneur should make sure that they enforce it without favor, without hesitation, if you are to survive. Because companies have failed because of bad characters. Some customers don't come to your business. Why? Yeah.
In South Africa, is there's this thing around service delivery, where you go to a place and they just give you a nasty attitude and just feel like you just don't want to go back. And it happens so much, and it feels like it's a thing around here.
And regarding those ones, I think I'm gonna do a mini documentary whereby I'll be documenting places that I'll be going to buy, just for us to relate better to this kind of situation. Recently, I was at a tomato market. A lady on the side of the road, she's selling tomatoes. I go there and I'm waiting to buy. I bought actually. I asked her, I got there and I asked her, how much is your tomatoes? She told me. But she told me with those, you know, that face, that hostile face that you're irritating me. And I'd done nothing to her. And I said, how much is tomatoes? She told me, and I ignored it initially. I just said, you know what, maybe she's in one of those bad days. She told me, and as she was about to give me change, somebody walked through. As soon as the person walked through, as much as she was still helping me, she started concentrating on that guy, and she was so smiling, that lovely welcoming smile to the guy. Hi, how are you? What do you want? And she's busy serving me with my change. And I said to her, I waited for her, she helped the guy, and she was so happy to help the guy. I was actually going with my family at that particular point. I let her, and then as soon as I saw that change of facial expression from what she gave me and what she gave the other guy, I became irritated. And then I said, you know what, I'm not going to overreact. I waited. When the guy was gone, saved and gone, I said to her, but tell me, what is it that I did that was not, that made you not happy? She said, why? With a frowning face. And I said, no, look at yourself. Right now you're agitated. I've done nothing to you. I've simply asked you a question. When I came here, you were looking at me with a funny face. And when the guy came, even in the middle of you still helping me, you decided to ignore what you're doing with me and concentrate. Just that simple focus on service is very important. And she said to me, but the one thing that I appreciate about the lady, she appreciated that she was wrong. And she said, you sorry, my brother. Honestly speaking, I think you are right. I don't know why I did that, but I'm very sorry. That on its own, I think it remedies the war, it neutralizes what she had done to me. So I think service delivery is very important. There's small gestures that you people take for granted as a business owner or as an employee, but the impact that it gets to the person who is receiving the hostility is quite epic, to the extent that no repeat purchase will happen. I won't be coming back.
And you know what's sad around that is that it has become racial. You know, you look at a setup where you have one till, when you have one service delivery place, let's say it's a till, different races pass by there. Each one receives a different
service. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that one is a point.
It's crazy, bro.
It's a point.
It's really crazy.
So we talk of gain of character, especially in service delivery. You need people who are happy to save, people who are not obsessed with the identity of a given person, but they will understand that when money comes into the bank, it doesn't say I came from a black person, I came from a white person, I came from a this person. Money comes, everybody is important. Remember, every customer, no matter what color they look, no matter how much they are spending, we need them as a business.
I feel like every organization should have the flight attendant kind of work ethic to be enforced.
Which ones are they? Let's be specific. Which ones do you like the most? No, just for our viewers.
Man, now we're marketing flights.
No, not mentioning them, but I'm saying the personality that makes you say. They're the
but
best,
have you noticed in a flight, right? Those people, the flight attendants, the people that you meet inside, they are taught specifically to not give partial or different service to different people.
And you can see the way they conduct
you
themselves.
see the next person walking, they get the same smile, you get the same greeting. And if you really look at it, it is enforced by the company. So the company is in control of how the services are delivered.
And how does it start? It starts from their recruitment process. Whereby they ensure that they identify the right person and then add some training to make sure that the person is oriented as per the brand treatment that they expect.
Yeah.
And tell us, if you are somebody who is into the flight service or you're an attendant, please share with us what's your secret.
Goes on,
yeah. Why is your
like why are you so happy to serve everyone? Because you don't find that anywhere else.
Exactly.
Like literally, even to the extent of fast food outlets, bro, where everyone just walks in there and walks out.
They always. This is how they're running out of business, by the way. Because I mean, if I've got bad service today, why would I come tomorrow?
Yeah.
Majority of companies are losing business out of that, and they are not noticing. They are still oblivious of the fact that it's them who are chasing away clients.
I've always fought with people around the concept of English. I personally am comfortable speaking English. I can speak a dozen other languages, a couple more languages, but I'm comfortable speaking English. And if I approach
that's the commercial language.
If I approach you in English, and you start to tell me, no, I'm not going to speak in English with you. Don't expect me to change.
You're time custom.
Yeah, I'm not going to change for you. Some of them go to an extent where they act like they didn't hear what I say, and their whole demeanor changes. They start being aggressive around the way they speak, the way they articulate themselves. They start asking you, like in ShopRite, they start asking, "For the plastic." There's that smile is gone and all the likes, and I'm like, this is a democratic country. I mean, everyone, there's the freedom to be able to express yourself in, especially the most common languages that are there. I don't blame them for maybe speaking their native language and assuming I'll understand it, but after I correct it, like I don't understand you. There should be a change.
And besides, man, tell me, last time I checked, every business in a public, which is operating in a public space, definitely the commercial language is English. I mean, like throughout Africa, in most cases, like in the space that we are living in. So why would somebody who is serving a public person that he or she's not familiar with, start speaking in a native language when you don't know it? It's it comes back again to character. The recruitment process didn't do enough to make sure that these people are the right people, and then they're oriented in the perfect way. Anyway, so let's close today. Guys, thank you so much for joining me and Dewele on this episode, and we are bringing more. We've got more topics that has to do with service delivery and the competence of how best to survive as an organization, especially small to medium entrepreneur. What are the things that are we overlooking? Which things are very important, and they are actually in many cases leading to our downfall as an organization. Anyway, thank you so much. Please subscribe and stay tuned. You can contribute and tell us the toxicity that you've gone through and how you've dealt with it. And for flight attendants, please share your secrets.
I think we touched on a couple of, because we are just briefly scraping through a lot of concepts. I know a lot of people will be
we're gonna dig deeper.
We'll be itching like, oh come on, man, we should have. But we'll begin to isolate, especially with some of the feedback.
Yes, exactly.
Where these are the kind of topics that need to be addressed. We can always just look into that a lot more. But this was fun. This is exciting.
Keep well.